All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Recovery Scene. I am really excited to have Frankie Lucas, aka Front Row Frankie, on TikTok. He is here, and I have a feeling he's going to be a good time. He's here to tell his story. One of the things that really blew me away. So, you were arrested at 14 for the first time, but Frankie, go ahead and tell them about mom and dad.
Yeah, so I've been arrested more times than I can count for drugs and alcohol, but both of my parents were police officers. My dad is a retired cop, and my mom was a cop for 12 years and then went on to law school. So I had that good structure, from a young age, but I also, made a lot of bad decisions, and they kind of let me learn from those.
Yeah, I was going to say when you got arrested, how did they let you? How did they deal with it?
Oh, well, I do come from a divorced household, so it was just my mom, but she knew a lot of the people. She knew the cops, and actually that got me out of trouble several times. Was people that she knew, whether I just got dropped off or not arrested. But it embarrassed her quite a bit, I would say.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. That's. I wonder if people kind of hold parents like police officers, to a higher standard. You know,
I mean, there's
it
always
hits them
that.
hard.
They always say, cops' kids, and preachers' daughters, things like that. It happens.
Exactly, exactly. All right. So what I want is a beginning, a middle, and an end. So tell us all about it.
Okay, cool.
How it started.
All right. I'll just tell my story.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, first off, I'm a raging alcoholic with a crippling drug addiction. In a nutshell, that's it. Um, I don't know, man. I was told, kind of from a young age, about alcoholism, about addiction. I was warned about it from my mom and my dad because it happened in their families. I was born outside of DC, but raised in Boston, Massachusetts. Right outside, my mom went to law school there, and I played ice hockey. I played baseball, and had all these things kind of set out for me to do things the right way. Even from a young age, I was always disruptive. I was always the class clown. I was always getting in trouble and things like that. So even before I took a drink or a drug, I was that kid.
Right, right.
Um,
Did you ever feel like, because this is kind of a recurring theme in our interviews, did you ever feel like no matter how much you did or how many friends you had, you just didn't quite fit?
sure. I was a chameleon too. I was always fitting, in a sense, fitting in with everybody. I
Right.
don't know whether it was I want to be accepted or what, but that's kind of what happened. When I was 12, I went through a culture shock. Really, I moved from Boston, Massachusetts to Blacksburg, Virginia. Blacksburg is a gorgeous town in the middle of the mountains. We have Virginia Tech and Radford University there. So it's a college town, but there's not really much else to do, but the drinking and drugs are widely accepted. So I think I drank to fit in, or I drank to be cool. But I think because of my genetics, I drank alcoholically from the very first time, and there was nothing cool about the way that I drank. I used to think that it was cool that I could outdrink everybody, but honestly, looking back, it was just my alcoholism in full effect at a young age.
Right.
Um, got arrested for the first time when I was 14 for underage possession of alcohol. By the time I was 18, I had 6 underage possession of alcohols, a DUI. I was in the juvenile detention center twice. I was on house arrest for 6 months. I got sent to an adult prison for a scared straight program. Got sent
Oh,
to
wow.
a military school and got kicked out. And I was expelled from my high school senior year for drinking with an ankle bracelet on. And I was court ordered to go to rehab. I went to rehab, and I thought, well, drinking's my problem. So I stopped drinking. I didn't drink from 18 to 25. I didn't have a drop. But I was never sober. I was never clean, because once I stopped drinking, I started using other substances, replace one for another.
Hmm.
Um, what really took a hold of my life was opiates, cocaine and marijuana, what are these other substances, but opiates, really took a hold of my life in the sense that I became physically dependent on it.
Right.
When I
Right.
became
Now,
physically,
were you just introduced to those through friends
well, it was
or
from an
acquaintances?
injury in high school. I broke my back in a car accident. So, I remember the way that they made me feel. It made me
Right.
feel really good. But I didn't know that when you don't have them, you feel really bad, and then once you're stuck on it, it's kind of like, that's just what you do. And that really took a hold of my life. It was, living to use and using to live. Um, and I ran all aspects of my life, damaged relationships. Um, and I thought I tried the geographic change. So I moved to Florida with a girl, and she was a great girl. And I lied, manipulated, and stole from that relationship, and she ended up leaving, rightly so. But when she left, I didn't know how to take care of myself. So after that month, I couldn't pay the rent or my phone or anything, and I was left homeless. And I was homeless, in Florida, 500 miles away from home, um, sleeping underneath, parking garage steps and in gas station bathrooms and behind churches, and
Mm.
again, living to use and using to live. And I would go to the clinic in the morning and do whatever I had to do throughout the day to put what I could in my arm at night, because by that time I had already crossed that point of no return of IV drug use.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's progressive.
Yeah, for sure. And I did that for almost 6 months, and then I thought, well, I need to get off these drugs. I thought the drugs were the problem, and I came back to Virginia. I put myself through those withdrawals, that I feared so much. I was between the bedroom and the bathroom for 5 days. I didn't come out of the house for a week. But when I got through that, my mind started to clear, my body started to feel better, and I thought, wow, I'm not addicted to these drugs anymore. Maybe I can drink again. And it wasn't too long in between that I started drinking again. And, although I hadn't drank in 7 years, I picked up exactly where I left off, in the sense that, all I needed was bottom shelf liquor, um, and I drank hard liquor right out of the bottle, a liter a day. The way that I drink is that, take a bottle of liquor and take the cap off and I throw it away. Cause that means I'm going to finish the bottle. If
Right.
somebody else has a bottle of liquor, behind their back, I'm taking the cap and I'm throwing it away. And they're like, where's my bottle? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but I guess we got to finish it.
Yeah. It was
You know?
always so strange to me that
Yeah.
people could have liquor in a cabinet
It,
and it's just sitting there. I mean,
yeah.
like that was always amazing to me.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm still an alcoholic, so it still is. It's still amazing to me. Like that would be gone.
Yeah.
That would be gone.
I get it. It doesn't make any sense. And, I, also the way that I drink is that, if I go to a bar or a show, I have to be at the perfect distance in between the bar, the bathroom, and the stage, so I can get what I want when I want. And I'm going to push my best friend and my girlfriend out of the way to make sure that I get a drink first.
Hmm.
And after I started drinking again, alcohol, I've done all drugs, every drug, every which way, but alcohol really breaks me down very quickly, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically.
Yes.
I thought, well, I'm already drinking, I might as well do the drugs too. So then it was just this vicious cycle of drinking and drugs, and of I was doing anything and everything and finding ways and means to get more. That was my life. And it was hard. It was a struggle, and I I went through a lot, and there's a couple different times where doctors told me that I was gonna die. I'll share one instance with drugs and one with alcohol,
Yeah.
because it really wraps up what addiction and alcoholism for me. With my alcoholism, I had to go to the hospital, get some stitches on my forehead here, which for me was no big deal. I thought, I've had a lot of stitches, a lot of broken bones, a lot of weird injuries, and figured I'd be back in an hour. So I took my friend's car, um, 2 a.m., one eye, one arm, bleeding profusely, driving.
Yeah, because the head bleeds a lot
Oh,
when
it was, it
there
was,
isn't alcohol in your system to thin out the blood.
it was everywhere. It was a mess. So I get there and I get stitched up, and this doctor comes in and says, I don't know how you're walking, talking, comprehending anything. I cannot believe you drove here. But by the time we took your BAC, it was at a 0.39.
Jeez.
So I was driving there with a 0.4 BAC holding a conversation with this man. He tells me point 4 on paper is comatose or death, for a normal average human being. My only explanation to him was that I was an alcoholic. And my
Mhm.
honest only concern was that I wanted to leave because I still had more vodka at the house.
Right.
You know,
Right.
with my drug addiction, I was using IV drugs. I had an infection on my arm. I wasn't really sure. I knew something was wrong. I called another friend of mine, using friend, and said, "Hey man, come over. It's 2 o'clock in the morning." I had waited 3 days to even like really tell anybody. And he calls me and he comes over and he's like, "Dude, you need to go to the hospital now." And I'm like, "No, man, I'll go tomorrow. It's okay." He's like, "No, dude, you need to go now." So I went, and with all those previous hospital trips that I've had, I've never had a quicker one than this, in the sense that they had me on the operating table within an hour.
Oh, wow.
Um, I have a scar here on my arm. Looks like a dog bite, um, but I was in the hospital for a week, for 7 days. And the infection had spread almost to my armpit. It was like up to my armpit and almost down to my wrist.
So you were going
Um,
septic.
yeah. And they said, if I would, like, I think on the operating table, they just made a decision, like, keep the arm or not keep the arm. They said if I would have came an hour later, they would have taken my arm. They said 12 hours later, it would have moved up to my neck and I would
Mm.
have died. Was in the hospital 7 days over Thanksgiving. My family had to bring me Thanksgiving dinner. My poor, dear sweet mother. And I continued to use after that, you know. And what that tells me with the drinking and the drugs is that I will drink and I will drink until I'm going to die. My body can physically be on the verge of death and my mind will still be telling me that I'm okay. You can do
Yeah.
one more,
Yeah.
and that really sums it up for me.
That is the
Um,
nature of the disease, and that is what some people don't understand, is the brain chemistry actually changes. It changes. And it's not just your body telling you you have to have it, or if we do it, we're going to die. But our body is telling us if we don't have it, we feel like we're going to die.
yeah.
And we've also done something, we've got that reward center in our brain,
Mhm.
and it stops firing so easily because it doesn't have to. So
Right.
we're getting that reward from the drugs and from the alcohol. So the chemistry in the brain is changing and it's telling us we can handle more and we need
Yeah.
more. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It is. It's wild. And I had that, realization that I was going to die. All those not yets, I crossed them all out. The only not yet that I haven't had is that I didn't die. Um,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to put my mother through the same thing that my grandmother went through with my grandfather. He died with a .4 BAC in a drunk driving accident. I didn't want to put my mother through the same things, what she
Right.
went through with her brother. He hung himself with a 6-pack of beer and a pack of cigarettes next to him,
Oh,
or
gee.
what, her uncle with liver failure, or her nephew with a drug overdose. I didn't want to put my mother through the same things that my best friends' mothers have went through. I've lost a lot of friends. I've spoken at a lot of funerals. I've carried a lot of caskets, and I didn't want to do that. And I reached out for help. Um, I was fortunate that I knew about 12-step recovery since I was 15 years old. I knew that recovery was possible. Um, I reached out to my brother who lived up in the DC metro area. He's much older than me. He's from my dad's side of the family. And he got me into a program. I came up to Northern Virginia. I didn't have a dime to my name. I didn't have health insurance. I didn't have nice shoes. I didn't have nice clothes. I had 13 out of 28 teeth. I
Mm,
was dying, and I had the sincere desire to change and the courage enough to ask for help.
right.
When I did that, things started to change, but I had this mindset that I have to do my recovery as hard as I did my drinking and as hard as I did my using. And that's very hard every day,
Mhm.
so I hit the ground running, in 2016, October 4th, um, and I haven't stopped. I took all the suggestions. I made recovery my life. I changed all the people, places, and things. I surrounded myself with winners, and I did that, and I do it like my life depends on it, because it does,
Right.
you know. Um, and my life has changed tremendously. You know, I I'm just happy and grateful to be alive. I find gratitude in every situation, and I have a connection with God or higher power um, that guides me through my life. I try to see God in everything, or else He's nothing. And my life is good today. My mother is happy. I have my mother here. And these are things that are important for me. I have my mother. I have the Tale of Two Wolves. If you're not real sure
Mhm.
about it, look it up. The good and the bad, they're both inside me. But which one wins? The one that I feed. This one
Exactly.
really reminds me of recovery, because it's a hand reaching out and touching something, helping one another. And it's got um, you know, uh, the time. So I think of like um, the responsibility statement from 12 Step Fellowship. Anyone, anywhere reaches out for help, I want the hand to be there. And for that, I am responsible. So I surround myself in recovery, um, to where it gives me a really good life. Every night when I go to sleep, um, and I take my own inventory and I look at my day, whatever happens throughout my day, I end it with saying, today was a good day. Life is good. I have bad moments throughout the day, but I don't have to have bad days. And that's what recovery has given me, is that even with everything that happened last year in 2020, I did not have a bad day. I had bad moments, um, but I didn't have bad days.
That's right. That's right. There's 24 hours in a day. Even if 2 of those hours absolutely sucked, you still have the other 22.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
it's attitude is everything, and it's really our choice whether we allow bad days.
Sure.
The most horrible things can happen, but it's our decision as far as how it affects us, you know?
I uh I have a choice today in everything, you know. I have a choice, and I make it really simple, positive or negative. That's the only two choices I have. So I choose positive, alcoholic death or spiritual way of life. I'm going to choose the spiritual way of life. God is everything or else He's nothing. I'm going to choose God as everything. I think of like, change your perspective, change your life, you know. Um,
That's 100%. I tell it to people all the time.
yeah,
It's
it's,
all about perspective.
yeah, it's wonderful.
Yes,
And my goal in life, as of right now, is to be an honest, sober man of good character. That's my mantra for myself, and I have to break that down, and say, well, what is that, and really dissect it. But I have to take the actions to be an honest, sober man of good character, and if I were to die today, I think I would be at peace, because my goal is to say, for somebody speaking at my funeral, whether it's tomorrow or 25 years from now, is to say, Frankie was an honest, sober man of good character, and he helped a lot of people.
that's
That
right.
would bring me peace. That would make my mother happy. That's the true gift, is to be the man that I think God wants me to be.
That's right. That's powerful. You know, that's a excellent statement to say to yourself on a daily basis.
Yeah.
We have to be intentional. Who do we want to be? Who do you want to be? Okay,
Hmm.
then be that. You're
Yeah.
going to have, it's not just going to happen to you.
Yeah.
You are going to have to put the work in. And whether you're an addict or not, everything you want is on the other side of your comfort zone.
Sure. My
If it
life is
wasn't, you'd have it already.
my life is filled with doing a bunch of things that I don't want to do.
That's right. That's
That's,
right. But the coolest thing is, the more you do that stuff, the bigger your comfort zone gets.
yeah.
It only sucks like maybe twice,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, walk in like you own the place. You
Yeah.
know, you just have to do it. You've got to do it. You
Yeah.
know, Frankie, thank you so much for coming on here and telling us your story and
Thank you.
helping us hopefully save lives and change lives.
That's it, man. If we can help one person, I was just talking to somebody about this earlier today. I speak to a lot of kids in schools, middle schools and high schools. And, I've talked to thousands of kids, and usually there's one, and, there's 30 people in a classroom. But if we can help one person, that trickle effect from saving one kid from an overdose, one person on this live, for asking for help, it affects the parents, the grandparents, the employers, the friends, that trickle effect from the life of one is tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my purpose, man. I have to end every day and say, who am I helping? Who have I helped?
Exactly.
I could really
Exactly.
base how good I'm doing or how good of a day it was by how many people I've helped. And that's the key to life for me. If you were to say, Frankie, what's the key to life? I would say helping others helps myself. That's it. I'm a selfish, self-centered alcoholic, so I want to help myself. So how do I do that? The trick is to help others.
That's right. That's right. And it helps us in a positive way. It
Yeah,
really does. I always tell
always.
people that comment on my videos and talk about, "Oh, you're so awesome." I'm like, "No, you are." Because you're the one feeding me.
Yeah,
Every time you say things like you helped save my life or I've been clean for 30 days because of you or whatever, you fill my tank.
yeah,
I'm blessed by every single one of those kind of comments.
yeah,
And yeah, in a selfish, typical alcoholic way, I want that.
yeah. I get it. It's so true.
Oh, well, that's going to do it for us for another episode of the Recovery Scene.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so much.
all for listening. Make sure you subscribe and like. I always forget to say that in my videos. I really do. But, hopefully it just goes without saying, you guys. Subscribe and like.
Yeah.
And we will see you all next time. Remember, addiction isn't pretty, but recovery is beautiful. Be safe out there.